Welcome to the Daily AI News Digest. This broadcast is sponsored by bestai.org. I'm your host, and it is August 26, 2026. Today's explainer cuts straight through the market noise to give you an objective, analytical look at the actual capital flows, hardware deployments, and regulatory shifts shaping the artificial intelligence sector right now. Let's get into today's market realities. We have a lot of ground to cover. We'll start with the biggest corporate and capital moves of the day, then transition into product and model realities. After that, we'll look at the latest regulatory and policy signals and wrap up with an analyst's take on where the broader market is heading. Let's start with the biggest moves today. At the foundational model layer, we're seeing a rather stark divergence in capital strategy today. Caltech professor Anima Anandkumar and engineer Benedict Yannick just officially unveiled their independent venture, Accelerated Understanding. But what's actually notable here is the capital they walked away from to build it. The founders declined an offer to lead Jeff Bezos' project Prometheus. That was an offer that came with a $2 million base salary and a massive 35% equity stake in a venture that, as a reminder, just secured a $12 billion Series B round. Instead, they walked. Their reason? A total abandonment of the traditional transformer architecture. Using neural operator technology, their specialized physics prediction model processed 5 trillion data points in a single prompt during testing. To put that in perspective, that is roughly 5 million times the standard processing volume of your typical large language model. And they are targeting enterprise applications specifically in semiconductor design and weather forecasting. Turning to macroeconomic capital flows, SoftBank Group is reportedly negotiating a major debt issuance. The firm is targeting a US dollar and euro bond sale of up to $20 billion under Rule 144A. This is an asset-backed financing strategy designed to refinance the short-term bridge loans SoftBank utilized to fund its massive, ongoing capital commitments to OpenAI. If you are watching the broader market, the signal here is unmistakable. The sheer volume of capital required to remain relevant in this AI arms race is forcing even the largest, most capitalized institutions to take on unprecedented leverage. Moving on to Section 2, let's look at product and model realities. At the Hot Chips 2026 conference today, OpenAI detailed its very first custom inference chip, codenamed Jalapeño. Taped out with Broadcom on a 16-month timeline, the specs give us a clear look at OpenAI's strategy to reduce its reliance on third-party silicon. The Jalapeño ASIC operates at a 700-watt power draw, so ironically, for a chip named Jalapeño, it actually runs significantly cooler than the competition. It compares very favorably to the 900 to 1,150-watt power draw we see on NVIDIA's Rubin architecture. The benchmarks presented today indicate the Jalapeño chip achieves 1.5 to 1.9 times greater work per watt efficiency than NVIDIA's hardware across various inference workloads. It's a highly calculated move to optimize the specific compute platform running their proprietary models. Over in the enterprise software sector, Google Cloud is aggressively defending its market share. They're doing this by pivoting from general models to highly governed industry-specific systems. Today, they launched Gemini Enterprise for Legal in preview. Developed alongside major global law firms like Cleary Gottlieb and Freshfields, the platform utilizes Secure Model Control Protocol, or MCP connectors. The critical factor here is data governance. These connectors map existing workspace permissions and ethical walls directly into Google's perimeter. That ensures a law firm's proprietary data and client prompts remain entirely within private clouds, and crucially, are never ingested for foundational model training. In the robotics space, Skilled AI released performance metrics for its S1 robotics foundation model, demonstrating a material shift in how machines acquire physical skills. The S1 process requires the model to watch just a single human video prompt. After that, it can immediately execute a physical task lasting up to 10 minutes, with zero fine-tuning required. During practical testing, the S1 model recorded a 66% success rate on previously unseen tasks. This represents a significant deviation from traditional language-prompted systems trained at similar scales, which historically hover around a mere 9% success rate for complex physical operations. Next up, Section 3, Regulation, Policy, and Business Signals. The industry is currently facing a very cold business reality regarding physical expansion. According to market tracking, local communities and utility constraints have successfully blocked or delayed $130 billion worth of AI data center projects in the United States alone this year. The primary bottlenecks remain unchanged: severe power grid strain, water usage concerns, and well-organized local pushback. And this resistance is rapidly moving up the political ladder. We're seeing a quick succession of political shifts right now, with state governors reversing what were previously growth-friendly stances on data centers.
Down in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott ordered a pause on new grid interconnection approvals pending audits. Over in Pennsylvania, data centers have been explicitly removed from the state's fast-track permitting program. And in New York, authorities have imposed a strict one-year ban on large data center construction. What was previously viewed by the market as straightforward infrastructure development has quickly morphed into a complex political liability.
These headwinds certainly aren't confined to the US either. In Australia, the federal government was forced to abandon a mandate requiring data centers to run exclusively on green energy, essentially yielding to the reality of sustainable power shortages. Meanwhile, in the UK, the deployment of autonomous vehicles has hit a bureaucratic wall. Uber and Wave have indefinitely delayed their planned rollout of robo-taxis in London, explicitly citing a complete lack of regulatory guidance and safety frameworks from municipal transport authorities. Naturally, as regulatory scrutiny tightens, the demand for enterprise AI guardrails is driving heavy capital investment. AI safety firm Alice, formerly known as ActiFence, announced a $140 million Series B funding round today. That capital injection is largely driven by institutional interest in Alice's proprietary rabbit hole dataset. This dataset is the world's largest archive of real-world adversarial content, tracking nearly a decade of extremism, cyber attacks, and fraud signatures. It's actively being utilized to red team and stress test foundation models for developers like Anthropic and Google before they ever ship to the enterprise market. Put simply, this is the insurance policy corporations are demanding before they integrate these models into their operation. Let's bring this all together in Section 4, the analyst's take. Investor and analyst Chamath Palihapitiya recently issued a sober warning that anchors our market analysis today. He identified the converging forces threatening the sector's momentum as political backlash, treasury yields, and infrastructure debt. As we just observed with those state-level data center bans and SoftBank's massive debt restructuring, these are not hypothetical future risks. These are present, measurable factors actively impacting balance sheets today. The immediate market implications centers heavily on the upcoming public offerings of Frontier Labs. Anthropic is reportedly targeting an October IPO with an anticipated valuation of $2 trillion, built on a reported $65 billion annualized revenue run rate. However, as an unrated, venture-backed entity, Anthropic and its peers remain highly exposed to these exact macroeconomic barriers. Rising long-term treasury yields compete directly with the corporate AI debt required to fund these massive, power-hungry compute facilities. For these IPOs to succeed, these labs have to convince the market they can navigate severe infrastructure logjams and shifting political tides, not just achieve impressive model benchmarks. Finally, Section 5, the outro. Looking ahead to tomorrow's trading session, institutional watchers will be closely monitoring any shifts in state-level infrastructure approvals, as well as the Treasury's planned long bond buyback operations designed to manage those rising yields. But it leaves us with the ultimate question. As the models grow exponentially smarter and more capable, will the physical world simply run out of the power required to run them? Thank you for joining us for today's Explainer. This broadcast was sponsored by best-ai.org. Stay focused, keep an eye on the fundamentals, and we will see you for the next digest.